My name's Adele Onyango and welcome to another episode of Legally Clueless. No, seriously, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. Hey you, welcome to episode 204 of Legally Clueless. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, welcome to the family. Audio episodes like this go out every single Monday. We have an incredible video series. I may be biased, but it's pretty dope. And an even more incredible tour series where we weave through Kenya. We went on tour to Zimbabwe, Paris, Dubai twice. And you can watch all of these episodes right on our website. That's legallycluelessafrica.com. I'm really excited about this particular episode, as I always am when it is one of you who's written in and asked to share their story. And that's exactly what happened with Medrick. Listen to this.
Corona started and the lockdowns came. After dinner, we seated watching telly and I started gasping for air. So she told me, seems like anxiety. That's the first time I ever heard the word anxiety. I started having physical symptoms of anxiety disorder. One, I couldn't see well. That's why even I started wearing specs. Palpitations, heart palpitations, fatigue. I couldn't go home because looking at my kids. And yes, you're told this is anxiety, but your mind is telling you, you guy, you're dying when it comes to my kids. I would pray that I don't die while I sleep, so that my son does not wake up and wonder, why is daddy not waking up?
That's Medrick's story, and it's coming up a little later in this episode. Right now, let's jump into Song of the Week, which I can't believe I've held out on sharing this song with you. There are quite a few songs I'm stumbling on right now where I'm just like, why haven't I shared this on the podcast? It's strange. Anyway, it's by one of my favorite bands. I just love them. I'd love to hang out with them. I'd love to go to their live shows. They just seem like chill hippies, which is definitely my crowd. Parcels, and the name of the song is famous. I love it so much, even though I have no idea what they're talking about. No, seriously, like I even looked at the lyrics, the chorus when they sing, "You're famous, your way to paradise." I'm just like, I don't get it, but it sounds so good. I'm just gonna jam to it. Anyway, I put a link to the song in the show notes. Do check it out. I hope you love it as much as I do. I am recording this pretty early, not on Sundays or Saturdays or anything, because this Sunday is my birthday, 5th of February. I'm so excited. I'm turning 34. I feel so grown. And then another thing I feel, which is crazy, I can't even imagine I'm saying this out loud. I feel like grown and sexy, like woman. Does that make sense? Like really tapped into my, I don't know whether to call it femininity or my identity. I just feel so, you know what I mean? If you don't just keep going. But I really do feel that. I feel grown and sexy. I really do. And on top of that, I've never felt such peace and contentment in like forever. And I keep saying that's enough of a gift. It feels so good. That's enough of a gift for me. Like I just want this to keep going. Please don't disrupt it, life. Please. Just the peace is it's been a long time since I felt it. I really feel solid. Like both my feet are on the ground. And I wish this for you. If you've never felt this, like I really do wish this for you, and it's just like the best birthday gift the universe could gift me, and that I've also gifted myself, not just the universe. I've put in work to get here, and yeah, I feel good. I feel grown and sexy. Anyway, I'm also super excited because, so you know how I'm constantly sharing about my therapist and the amazing things that she teaches me? Well, guess what? She's going to be facilitating our first Legally Clueless Africa group therapy session. That's such a mouthful. But seriously, our first group therapy session is happening on the 25th of February. So first, mark that date because I want the space to be one where we take our healing seriously and we're intentional about it, and in a magical way we do it together. So 25th February at 9:30 a.m. we're going to be at Kanga Studio for our first group therapy session, and you are so invited. Tickets are 1,500 shillings. They are available right now on our website, legallycluelessafrica.com, or just head over to our Instagram page, that's Legally Clueless Africa. I've also put a link in the show notes to where you can grab your tickets. So I'm very excited about this group therapy session because the theme is losses without funerals, and my therapist picked that theme, and I couldn't agree that this is the best place for us to start, especially if you're taking step 1 in your healing. So I remember earlier on in my therapy sessions, she would ask me to share about the losses I've experienced in life. And at the time, I thought loss was only synonymous with like physical death of someone. And so I would only talk about the death of my mom. And she would keep urging me like, let's dig up, there's more losses. And at a point, I remember one session being a bit irritated because I was just like, but my dear, I have told you all the losses. What are you talking about? And the more she gave me exercises, the more I realized I had a lot of unprocessed losses in my life, and that there many life experiences we go through that are losses that do elicit feelings of grief. But because we don't see them as losses, we don't process those feelings. But those feelings affect us. They affect how we feel, how we think, how we live, if we live. And it's just time for us to inch closer to freedom and to start healing. And this is a beautiful place to start. Of course, we're going to be having 6 of these group therapy sessions across the year, but this is such a wonderful place to start. So we're going to, in the session, which will be facilitated by my therapist, her name is Faith. She's going to be helping us figure out what losses we've experienced in our lives and then process them and give us tools to help us keep healing from them anytime you experience something that triggers that feeling. And I think it'll be very magical. I can't wait for this. So make sure you grab your tickets. There'll be no tickets sold at the gate because we have a very limited number of tickets to sell. So the faster you get your tickets, the better. And so hit the link in the show notes or just head over to legallycluelessafrica.com to grab your tickets. I can't wait to see you. Oh my goodness. I'm very excited because I feel like I'm fully walking in my purpose now. I want you to heal. I want you to find a healing process that works for you. I want you to understand yourself better. And I want you to do this healing work so you unlock truly living. So yay. Okay, away from my shrieks of excitement. And back to this episode. I'm not even meant to talk a lot because Medric's story is pretty long and so necessary, and I didn't want to split it in half. I want you to go through the process with him and his story. So he listens to the podcast, which is superb. He's a member of the family. He reached out and he wanted to share his story of getting diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, and this happened during the pandemic. 100 African stories on Legally Clueless. Stories from Africa.
My name is Medric Lee. I'm a father of 2, a boy called Hegi and my princess called Amara. I'm a Christian. I stay in Limuru, but I was born in Nairobi. It was in the height of Corona. I was doing well. Even as a family, we were doing well. I haven't had anxiety issues ever since I was born. So it was when the Corona started and the lockdowns came. So for me, it happened abruptly. I was just in the house, seated, after dinner, we seated watching telly, and I started gasping for air. So what clicked to my mind is that strain that was the one that guys were just walking and you fall. Because I grasped for air and we opened the windows, but I was still grasping for air. That's shortness of breath. So what came to my mind was this is Corona, and it's the worst strain of it. We called a neighbor, the mother of my kids. My neighbor took me to hospital. So they checked my vitals. The oxygen was okay. Oxygen was okay. Heartbeat was a bit on the high rate, and the pressure. So the nurse asked me if I've traveled. I told them no. I was just in the house. We're just having after dinner. I was just relaxing, watching the television. So she told me, this seems like anxiety. That's the first time I even heard the word anxiety. So she told me, go outside, just take time and breathe. So I could just breathe, and the anxiety went down. By then I didn't know it's anxiety. My mind was like, at least it's not COVID. Because me, as I was getting out of the house, let me be honest, my mother of my kids was holding my hands, and I was just praying to God, these are my last minutes. If you can give me another chance in life. Because to me, it was like I'm dying. There's nothing else. I didn't know of anxiety disorders. I've never had people shortness of breath, because I've always been healthy. I do exercises all the time. So when the nurse told me this is anxiety, it was like a relief to me. It's not COVID. So now let's deal with this thing called anxiety now from here. So when she told me it's anxiety, a bit relaxed, I could now relax and breathe a bit better. So we scheduled an appointment, AAR Roaka, the next day, that is. I remember we went and I met a very, very nice doctor called Dr. Linda. She did some tests on me, blood test, heart rate, and she's the one who concluded, this is generalized anxiety disorder symptom, but however, we're going to refer you to a counselor and a psychiatrist to try and trace really if it is that. So that is how my journey started. When we went to see Dr. Linda, I started having physical symptoms of anxiety disorder. One, I couldn't see well. That's why even I started wearing specs, something called plagiarism, where the left eye and the right eye, the image is distorted. So I started wondering, what are these? Yes, you've been told anxiety. And the evening first we researched, went online to check on what is anxiety disorder before we went to see Dr. Linda. Dr. Linda, when confirmed this is generalized anxiety disorder, and referred me to AAR Sarit to see a psychiatrist. I also researched, but now I started having the physical symptoms. Now the shortness of breath was like my regular cup of tea. And we're in the height of Corona. When somebody sees you gasping for air, it's a problem. I came to Sarit, also took a comprehensive blood test. They said there's nothing wrong with my blood. I'm perfectly well. I was advised to see Dr. Linda. She's a psychiatrist there. She's the one who gave me the first breakthrough in my journey. She told me, breathing is natural. That was the first breakthrough. Breathing is natural. Because every time I gasped for air and I had shortness of breath, immediately, for me, I think the anxiety came as an avalanche. It wasn't a gradual process. It was avalanche. Everything came. Shortness of breath, palpitations, heart palpitations, fatigue, stomach, the eyes, and pulse. Every time my heartbeat was high. So when she told me breathing is natural, that is when I stopped controlling it, because I couldn't drive, that is one. Two, I had to use public means. And using public means, you're around people, and good thing they were masks, so I would wear a mask, so no one would see if I'm gasping or I have shortness of breath. But it was always a concern for me. What if this next person sees I have shortness of breath? And those are the symptoms that people are looking for in guys who are suffering, who have corona. So when she told me breathing is natural, it helped me, and she gave me the cognitive behavior therapy, the CBTs, how you count down to relax. That was helpful. I went back home that day. So I told the mother of my kids, this is what I've been told. I need to do this when I feel the anxiety is rising up kabisa and I have shortness of breath. So we count down. And I was given, I think, 4 antidepressants. So when I went back home, I told the mother of my kids, this is what I've been told, this is anxiety disorder, these are symptoms that come with it. So we started researching. What I didn't find is any support group. I looked online. The only thing I found is some Facebook groups in the States. So I joined the groups so that I can hear what exactly people are going through. So that is early height of Corona. The shortness of breath was my regular cup of tea. When I'm asleep, that is I'm well. But when I wake up, I will have it was just regular, unless I'm relaxed. I really had to work hard to relax. But then again, when I relax, I remember I have anxiety. Or maybe I hear an ambulance. Whew! It comes. Shortness of breath. That was the first. I don't know what used to trigger it, but it was always recurring. When I have the shortness of breath, I start the countdown. 8, 7, 6, 5, up to 1. Go back. I relax. From there, now the heart rate goes up. When the heart rate goes up, I start sweating. And the pulse also now the heartbeat is pumping. So the mother of my kid was very supportive then. So she would come and just look at me and see this guy is going through a hard time. And remember my kids then, my boy is 5 years now. He was still small and he's very sharp. He could look at me and like, hey, something is wrong with daddy. So I also had to manage them, not seeing dad going through such. He would wonder, hey, what's up? So mother of my kids was very supportive. She would look at me and see this guy is going through a hard time. Maybe excuse the kids, go to the balcony, breathe in some fresh air, and relax. I was diagnosed on a Sunday. I remember it was on a Sunday. Went to AA to see Linda on a Monday. Came to AAR Sarit on a Tuesday. So I was given the antidepressants on a Tuesday. So when I went home, I read the side effects. Because when we were told this is anxiety disorder, I went online to research. I found out some prescriptions have side effects. Some people get more symptoms out of whatever they are prescribed to. But because of what the hard time I was going through, I took the first antidepressant on a Tuesday. It was like it's like Yona Yo-Yo. It's just like nice. And I relaxed. But in my mind, I was like, I don't want to be dependent on this because of what I've read. Let me see how we'll work around it. So Tuesday I took them. I relaxed, but the shortness of breath would come, but not as regular as the Sunday evening and the Monday evening and the Tuesday daytime. The Tuesday evening I slept, took them on Wednesday, took them on Thursday, on a Friday. Still with the shortness of breath, but not as regular. But reading through, even as I was taking them, I made a decision I will not take them again. Because in the groups that I joined on Facebook, so many guys in the States were complaining, either insomnia, psychosis and stuff. So I would imagine now I have this and then something else like psychosis. Wow, that's crazy. Thing in where I stay in Limuru, there's so many options of not using conventional medicine. For example, something like aloe vera is something that I used because I used to have H. pylori. And I read, doing my research also helped me because I understood anxiety is not something you get willingly. It's a chemical imbalance. People do not understand that. They think it's this guy is choosing just to be anxious. It's a chemical imbalance in the brain. When I realized it's a chemical imbalance, my mind told me, if aloe vera is like an all-round medicine, it used to help me with H. pylori, then I can take it. Maybe it will help me reduce the effects of what I'm feeling. That's when I made the decision not to take the antidepressants. I just took them for 4 days and I stopped. After putting them on hold, actually not on hold, I stopped kabisa. Now I had stomach problems because the anxiety, it's not butterflies. Like what are those? I consider they're like big birds, big birds, and comes with irritable bowel syndrome. Now because of not taking the antidepressants, the shortness of breath now became a regular thing. I remember as a formative time, like the first week I was at home. The second week, I couldn't go home. It's okay. I couldn't go home because looking at my kids. And yes, you're told this is anxiety, but your mind is telling you, you guy, you're dying. Unlike depression, the major symptom of anxiety disorder is thoughts of doom. And if you're a living person, what is doom? Not living. So for 2 weeks, I couldn't go home. It's so hard just... so I would go to my friend and tell the mother of my kids, hey, I can't come home because looking at my son, looking at me, and I'm very frail. I can't sit. I have to lie down on the couch. I can't watch telly because now any news is about corona. That triggers. I don't want my son to be concerned. What's up with daddy, So for 2 weeks, I would go to my friends. And I didn't even tell my friend what is happening. Then I used to drink. So I would go drink. Not because I want to drink, but I was just looking for a solution. How can I calm this mind? It's overriding. It's just like, it's on autopilot. There are two me's in my brain. There's me, and now there's this other brain that is telling me, guy, you're dying. As much as I was told it's anxiety, I'm researching, yes, it's anxiety. But the mind cannot relax. So the 2 weeks I was at my friend's place. I would come during the day, so because the kids are playing outside, and in the evening I would go to my friend's place and relax. But he used to ask me, why are you drinking like this, man? You drinking a lot. I remember, it's something I haven't told anyone. I tried weed for the first time because I thought maybe then weed would relax my brain. I took a puff. Whoa, it was worse. So this is not a solution for you, Magic. After the 2 weeks, I was able to get the strength of not avoiding my children. I'm still going to therapy with Dr. Linda, but he had schedules for one therapy session a week. So she would ask, how are you faring? I would tell her I'm not going home. She'd tell me why. I would tell her it's because of this and this and the kids. She'd tell me, try get something to either read, listen to during the day, get something positive. Avoid things that are triggering you to your mind to go to override, because whatever you're going through, or whatever you're having, it's not the reality, but your mind creates that reality. By then I could walk well, I could see, but I would start realizing there's a lot of fog in my sight. Whenever I look, if it's during the day it's foggy, then what? Something else came up, dizziness. Now I have shortness of breath, I have stomach issues. The mind is crazy, it's just overriding. Then now there's dizziness. Plus now the fog, there's plagiarism, that is what I read. Now this right eye and the left eye were not coordinating, which I came to realize the pressure, the blood pressure, because of you're always on fight mode. Now, because you're in fight mode, the body uses a lot of energy of which you're not even using. It just produces a lot of energy for you to do something with it, but you're not using. So the right eye was affected. Now, I'm not sure if it's an eye problem or this is coming with the anxiety. Sleeping at night was a ritual for me. I'm telling you, it was a ritual for me, because I would, when it comes to my kids, I would pray that I don't die while I sleep, so that my son does not wake up and wonder, why is daddy not waking up? And I know it's anxiety, yes. The doctor has told me, I've researched it's anxiety, but my mind is telling me, guy, this is the last. Ebu, make your peace with God. And so many nights I would sleep knowing, I would even wonder, how is the other realm? Yeah. So waking up for me was like, oh yeah, I woke up. Really? Nice. Okay. Then I started the fight with anxiety. So as the days went, the months went, there are things I couldn't hear. You wouldn't talk about it, about them when I'm around. One, I couldn't watch the telly because the bright light would affect me. And if it affects me, the anxiety shoots. I couldn't listen to the news because it was like every other time. The sidebar there is, we are at this, these are the victims, we've tested, and all that to me was death. I had to make sure I don't go around the main road because the ambulances are always. To look at an ambulance was a problem for me. For someone to tell me about death was a problem for me. From there, I had now chest pains, the left side. So the chest pain and the left arm. And because I research a lot, I want to know what is happening, and I'm in those groups. I had already seen something like that. But when you research, go online and research pain on the left side, what do you get? Heart attack. Now, besides the shortness of breath, I have another symptom, heart attack. So what took me through and helped me when Dr. Wandia told me, you need to be listening to something. There's a Christian preacher in Singapore, it's called Joseph Prince. He talks a lot about the mind and how the mind can override yourself, your consciousness. And doing my own research, I realized there's the subconscious, which is basically who you are, stored there. And the subconscious is fed gradually to a point now it goes to autopilot. So I would put a podcast of him talking about the mind beside my bed, or earphones, and that is how I would be able to sleep. I sleep listening to him, and then when I wake up, there's something I will listen also about the mind. So I had cut clips of specific words he's saying to replay, so that whenever I wake up, I would hear something that would remind the conscious mind, this is a subconscious mind, guy. Don't listen to it. And where I fellowship, every Sunday, we have this thing. Pastor would say, your Monday is going to be blessed. Your Tuesday is going to be blessed. Your Wednesday is going to be blessed. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And on Sunday, you're coming back. So those words, you're coming back, are what I used to go back home with. I would stick with those words that he said, I'll be back on Sunday. So whatever you mind you're telling me, I'll be back on Sunday. Are we okay? Yes, are we okay? Corona is still is going on. From the heart, now I have the heart. Brain zaps. Have you ever had such? Brain zaps, if I can describe them as an image, it's like lightning, but now have it physical, where it's like something is cutting through your brain. It's like a magnetic thing cuts through the brain. And now not being stable. I couldn't stand on my own. It's like I'm wobbling. But I'm straight. But the brain would interpret my posture as if I am wobbling. So most of the time I would either lean on something or sit. And there are certain smells that would tick me off. So I have heart pain, I have shortness of breath, heart palpitations, brain zaps. Something else was added on the cocktail. It's called derealization and depersonalization. Derealization is whereby the brain takes you from here. You're here physically, but it can paint a picture you're in Nakuru, a certain space, and it becomes your reality. So it's like you're here physically, but everything, including the smell, is there. And that was the hardest part of it, because it came with picturing how my funeral would be. So you have shortness of breath. Brain is still telling you, guy, you're dying. All these things that are happening in the media, people are sick, and now the depersonalization and derealization also is added on the cocktail. What kept me is like I wanted to fight a lot. I wanted to fight, so I would avoid sitting at home. Remember, people are not going at work. You're not going to work. You're home. So I would go out to hang out with friends. But the friends were like, someone would look at you, is like, hey, what's up? But you can't say, and they can't ask because you're normal. No one sees. You know, what I came to realize with anxiety and mental issues is that there's no picture. No one can describe to you. It's the regular guy. The guy in Matatu. Your Uber guy. It's your boss. It's your colleague. Because for me, I was just regular. I would deal with all those things, just seated amongst friends. But now they would wonder, this guy didn't take pints anymore because the smell would affect me. And then I had now symptoms of sinuses, of which I don't have sinuses. Even I was given the spray, the Avimis for spray, and I don't have sinuses. So the pressure here in the eye, here, brain zaps, pain, shortness of breath, plus now inflammation, body inflammation. I would wake up, I'm just walking, I would just sit. Start walking. I either get my left foot, just pain on the muscle. Nothing, just pain. It's like you've stepped on something, but you haven't. So all those symptoms, you're dealing with them. You have to deal also with the family. But what I really appreciate through that time is that the mother of my kids used to research a lot. And so she used to send me either a quote or a scripture. I would tell her, I feel like I'm dying. That is what I used to just text. I feel like I'm dying. So she would send me back a scripture. For example, there are scriptures in Isaiah, you'll not die, you live to tell of the goodness of the Lord. So I would tell that to my mind, to override the subconscious mind. As much as people are not working, sometimes we'd meet with colleagues. I used to work in a political office, so something has happened, you have to go and condole, because my boss was the area member of parliament. You have to go to represent him. So where are you going? You are going to a place where the corona has hit, but you have to represent. So you go there, you're in masks. So our African culture, people have to tell tales of what happened. Oh, it started like this. It was on a Monday. He said this, he said this, he said this. All that they're saying, I have. Now, you're amongst people. They've said exactly what you guys are going through. And there you can see that is their casket. So now it does not become something like a derealization. It is here. Guy, you might even fall. where you are. And it's so convincing. It is so convincing. That day, remember, I excused myself, went outside the gate, just sat down, took the podcast that I had, put on some earphones, and I started counting backwards so that the shortness of breath goes down, so that my breath can balance and my inhaling and exhaling can balance. And because you're a few, someone is concerned. Where is Medrick? At that time, you don't want someone to come near you because you're dealing with the shortness of breath, palpitations of the heart, and someone can see this guy is struggling, but also you don't want to tell them. How do you tell an African or in an African setting that my mind is telling me I'm dying? They'll tell you, guy, you're not serious with life because you're blessed, man. You have a nice family. You have. What are you saying? You're dying. You guys, that is why people don't come out and say their struggle, because it's like you're telling yourself, and no, you're not telling yourself. As the ease of movement was opened up, there's a neighbor who collapsed, but it wasn't corona necessarily. It's in the neighborhood, and somehow my mom called me. So I took the phone. Hey, do you know so and so? She used to come and do cleaning. Hey, yeah, I know. Imagine she just collapsed. It took me 2 weeks to get out of bed just because she told me that. So I had to tell the mother of my kids. I don't know how you're going to tell people, even my mom, such news. Because even telling my mom is an African lady. She's worked all her life. When I was born, she was working. She retired I think 5 or 6 years ago. She's the embodiment of that woman who stood by you. I used to school at Juja Road Primary next to Pangani Girls. She would bring me lunch daily from town. Now, how do you tell her to your brain can't tell her such? But we would visit and she'd look at me. She's like, "Hey, guy, what's up?" So I used to tell mother of my kids, hey, just explain to them. Med has anxiety, but don't tell them all the issues that comes with anxiety. I had to get diagnosis for the eyes. What is the problem? So the first place I went, I did not go to an ophthalmologist. I went to an Optica. So Optica, they checked the machine and they gave me prescription. The prescription was strong, but they were helping me. That was the interesting part. I went, the attendant there took my details, but the mother of my kids came with them like a week after the lenses were put in the frame. The delivery was made to their offices, I guess. She came with them. So I asked her, can you wear them and see if you're seeing anything? No, I can't see. Okay, give me. So when she gave me, I put them on my eyes, put them on, and I was like, I can't see finally. Because I used to see two images. Like if you're there, I would see you and then see another Adele there. That was my norm. So I had to balance, which is the real one. That helped me. So it helped me. And I was okay in terms of seeing. But no balance, pain in the chest, the left arm. I have brain ups, I have fatigue, irritable bowel syndrome, inflammation. That was my cup of tea daily. And now the thoughts, the realization, the personalization. But I had that drive that somehow, I'm going to make it. I don't know how, but I'm going to make it. So I would listen to a lot of sermons, positive messages, and go to those groups, and hear. Mine is a cup of tea. Someone is dealing with PTSD, depression, and anxiety disorder, and they're telling you, I'm okay. So how about me? So bit by bit, my mind started to comprehend. As much as, yes, you get scared, and because so many times I went to the ER, and because you can't all the time be calling the neighbor, mother of my kids would look at me and see this guy is struggling. So I would take the car. It's me driving, but I would drive at 30 kilometers per hour because my mind is telling me, what if you crash? So drive slowly so that even if you crash, you have your mother with your kids, you have your babies here. At least she can take the wheel and just drive the car on the side. It won't crash that bad. So during that time, I think AAR Sarit, they even wondered, hey, this is a regular customer, and AAR worker, and a bit of, now it was clearing, AAR Kiambu Road, the new AAR. I've gone for EKGs, that is the heart. I've gone for, I almost did an MRI, but they did a test on, I think they called it, I did some green matter to see if there's any inflammation. And the doctor said it's okay. There's Dr. Araka, I remember, and they said it's okay. I can quote the names at AAR Sarit. She's a medical doctor, and she was doing her psychology degree. And she was very interesting because I used to go and tell her, now me, I'm feeling pain in my stomach, I need something. Or I'm feeling like this, my leg is paining, I need something. So she would sit and look at me and ask me, Medrick, what do you want? I would wonder, why are you asking me what do I want? I've just told you. You guys are telling me it's the brain, but it's not the brain. Seriously, me, I'm having a hard time. I feel the pain. It's real. It's real. And there's a time, it was everything left even to the ring finger. Yeah. So it's like, this one is connected to the heart. You guys, you're not serious. It is connected to the heart and I can feel it. This is definitely. But you look at me and tell me, I will not give you any prescription that is not scientific. Because I've done tests on you and there's nothing wrong. But my mind and the physical symptoms are telling me, seriously, this is it. Guy, this is it. And that is now like past 6 months. Past 6 months and it's now confirmed. And that is one of the things that confirms after 6 months, guy, this is anxiety disorder. In the groups that I joined, no one was talking of recovery. Everyone was talking of coping. Now I have my son. My son is very active, very bright. I have my daughter. I love them to bits, so I need to hang out with them. We need to chill. I need to take them places. I remember the first WRC. Me, I'm a rally fan. Luckily, we were live. We were live on TV. And then I saw the route. They are passing through Limuru. And they'll pass by I live like 2 blocks to the main road. Guys, we're going to see the rally. My son was so excited. The cars we're seeing on TV. Yeah, we're going. We went. The cars came. The kids are excited, but for me, I had to get a seat. There's a joint there. I had to ask them for a seat so that I can sit because I was so weak. My body was so weak, and I have shortness of breath. I'm gasping for air. There's the pain in the heart, but I have also to be excited for my son, for him to enjoy and explain, So I had to sit down. And because it was like for a long time, guys had not seen the WRC, and maybe where I stay, not so many people had an opportunity to see them. And of course, the turbos in the cars, it's so loud. So guys came out. So many guys came out. Some of the neighbors, some guys, you see them in the shops. So in my mind, as much as I know, not people don't know what I'm going through, but there's that consciousness. A guy is looking at you like, hey, why are you seated, man? It's exciting. Why are you seated? But only the mother of my kids would know whatever is happening. We are there, looking at the cars passing. I am making plans to go to Hosi. I have to go to hospital because the way I'm feeling, to me, it is the time. It's about that time. So I had to leave my children there, go to hospital, get checked. So it was like a routine. I go, oxygen. When I see oxygen is okay, good. Okay, now go to the main doctor. What's the problem, Medrick? I feel pain here. I feel like I have sinuses. I feel something in the head. I don't know what it is. So like electric shocks, they cut across. It was abnormal for me for a while. Start of 2022, I started feeling not the brain zaps alone, but pain in the left side and the left jaw. You go online research, that is stroke. Now I have a buffet, not even a cocktail. It's like a platter being served to deal with. And they come with intervals. So there's the zaps in the brain. And I remember there's a time we'd gone to buy coffee. Mother of my kids and the kids were at the coffee shop. And I was parking the car. And they felt the most weirdest brain zap. To a point, for me, I can't explain. Okay, no one has ever gone to the afterlife and told us that last experience. But for me, that seemed like that experience because the electric shock in the brain, and I was seated, I just went like this, and my head rested on the headrest of the car. And that is the only way I could be able to sit and sit well. Now, my shortness of breath is there, the pain in my chest, left side, jaw, and the zaps. So when they came, mother of my kids realized something wrong with daddy, so let's not rush him. We just opened the car, put the babies in the car, served them some crepes to divert their attention. And then she asked me, are you okay? I told her I've felt the most weirdest thing in the brain. Okay, take time. It took time. But I remember I have to drive them back home. And I would get guts and tell God, these are not my kids. I'm just a custodian. You gave them to me. Take us home. And we just work by faith. For me, it was just by faith. And we went home. So then the next day we had to go to AAR. Went to AAR, I was checked, nothing. So the more the doctor tells you nothing, the more at least you get some comfort. The more you add your own positive information that you're giving your brain, the more you get better and you get a little bit stronger. The symptoms are there, but you're now overpowering them. They're not putting you down. There's a time, as one of the worst experiences I had, there's a time we were with my brother at Roaka. And so my family knew Medrick has anxiety disorder, because now we had to tell them, because there are things I wouldn't do if I come to your place, and the stories we won't talk about when I come to your place. So like my mom's place, there are things they just realize, the things we won't talk. And I don't know what happens with I don't know, it's because there's the reality of life is short. Somehow anxiety disorder becomes a blessing, whereby you realize anytime, because now death does not become a distant thing. It's like you're dealing with it every other day. So you just look at you. I would look at my son, look at my mom, and it just overwhelm me. Yeah, I would just hug my son randomly, because in your mind, it's a reality, guy. Anytime, as much as you know it's anxiety disorder, but the overriding thought, it's so real. So at that time at Waka with my bro, I think we were from the garage, went for car to be washed. He's my younger brother, so I also have to be strong for him. I also don't want him to worry about his brother. So I used to take him because he would help me drive. I couldn't drive, like during the day I couldn't drive. My eyes would swell, get watery because of the light, and just tear up. Where we were seated, I had to excuse myself so that he didn't see me struggling to breathe. I went to the pump, the fuel pump, just sat next to it. So I started doing my prayers. And I could see my bro coming. Hey, so what are you going to take? Just bring me mango juice. He brought me juice. And for that day, it was like a whole 2 hours of it's like you're on the brink of afterlife. Mm-hmm. And that your mind is... I wish people would understand when someone is telling you of whatever they are going through, even if you don't understand, just take it as they're telling you. You don't need to understand. And that was my biggest challenge, because other than the mother of my kids, I could tell her, and because we used to research with her a lot, and she would go through the groups I am going through, and then she would realize people going through these symptoms. I wouldn't tell my bro. I wouldn't tell my mom. That time I was, for 2 hours, fog. I don't know how I can explain this. But it's like your brain is being squeezed. It's like your head is stuffy. The zaps, heart, the left side of the head, left jaw. The right leg was paining, and now sensations here on this finger. 2 hours I was just thinking, so how is the afterlife? And I would look at people, just normal people, and I was like, man, you don't know. You don't know. Then my brother seated there, is like, hey, dude, why is this guy just seated at the pump? Because the cars are being fueled, and I'm just next there at the pump. In fact, the pump attendant was so kind to let me sit there just next. But that is the only place I would sit. No one would come and ask me of anything. That was one of the worst experiences I ever had. And plus also dealing with neighbors, dealing with friends, and also getting out of your normal life. You don't want to avoid your normal life, but so you don't want to be in your normal life. I could see so many of my friends, someone is looking at you as if they've tried to they want to read your mind, but they can't read your mind. One of my friends, he's Ugandan. He went back, he's called Mbogo. Mbogo, I guess, either went through some mental part in his lifetime, because he's the only person I ever told. And my best friend is in the UK. Him I told when he started, because he's far. I just told him, hey guy, I was diagnosed with this and this. I just said, bro, pray God is going to help you. But I told him because he's far. But any other person around, I couldn't find the guts to tell, because I would try to bring stories like mental issues, and guys are like, no, people joke. People nowadays joke with life. How serious? How can you be that you want to do what and what to do what? 2022 early, a friend, we were classmates in primary school. We were friends. In fact, the last time we met, it was like a reunion. He died by suicide. It was on news. It was all over. And now me, in the prison of my mind, he has been overwhelmed, and he took his own life. So I remember telling the mother of my kids, let me tell you, I think when my friend planned all this, I think that was one of the most peaceful times for him. People may think I'm saying whatever I'm saying because they don't understand. When your brain is your prison, I can't know the experience of what people go through when they're in prison, the physical prison, but when your brain is your prison, sometimes you get moments of freedom in that brain. Because when we were told of what transpired to him taking his own life. He came home, he was jovial, he went to church with the mom, it was like a good time for him. Then poof, he took his own life. So I told her, I know him, he was so successful, and then things went south. So I told her, I think those few weeks or those few days, I think they were the best for him, because in his mind is that he had reconciled that I'm getting out of this problem. And I think for him, it was his freedom. This is a bit freedom, and then when I get out of this life, even better freedom. That is how the mind, doing my research and listening to my own mental journey, physical symptoms, there are moments of freedom that I would get, either when I'm asleep or I'm just seated at a small time. I would get a moment of freedom from this prison that is my mind, and I would treasure those moments, treasure them. So 2022, after his death, I couldn't even go into the burial. And now we're in the same WhatsApp group with other guys all over the world. They are talking. Guys are shocked. Only one guy, the guy in the UK, knows Medrick is going through this. But of course, I didn't mention. We didn't talk about it. So when guys went for burial, me, I didn't. But the pictures were all over. The stories were all over. It affected me because there's someone who commented, because we have the same physique, same height, don't dress the same, but almost. Then the school we went, there's that culture, it forms you, So someone mistook him for me. And they told me to my face, do you know, when I heard that, I thought it was you. Relapse, like 3 months, relapse. Because now I had, besides the physical symptoms I had, but mentally I was stronger. I would convince myself, they hurt. Why are you hearing me? How many times have you been to the hospital? Do your worst. I would just talk to myself. The brain, you do whatever you want to do. I know it is not stroke, it is not heart attack. I got to a point now, I would feel the pain, but I would tell myself, do your worst. That is how I was able to override the physical symptoms. But now, mental still I have the challenge. Up to, let's say, July is when I realized, guy, it's like you're making it, man. You're making it. I went to doctor one day and we talked. I would watch now regular things. I would watch a series. Guy was shot. No problem. This is an ambulance. How many people have seen the ambulance? So many of them. So me, I'm fine. To a point before October, my doctor told me, you're okay. And now I have no symptom. I can take my specs. In fact, I wear them because of the light. There's no prescription. This is just for the UV. I have no palpitations. I have no stomach pain. I have no chest pain. My brain is okay. I am fine. I drive. I play around. I do whatever I used to do normally. And so when I realized I could do that, I wanted, and that is what exactly I want. I want to tell people, you will get better. You can get better. And I want to be a friend, the friend that I looked for in those times. I would just want someone that I can tell, hey, guy, this is what I'm going through.
I was staring up.
This is what I'm going through. Can you just listen? Because even the doctors, and this is the challenge I realized, even the doctors, some of them, they are doctors from the professional point of view, not through experience. Mm-hmm. So they will indulge you to some point, but I could see the frustration. Because this is by book. You're telling me this, it's by book. But now you're not inside my brain. So yeah, the book tells you this and this, it should do this and this. But as you're telling me, my brain is not reacting to your speed. And I could see the frustration in the doctors. So when I got well, that is my inspiration. In fact, what I do, and that's why you see me very active on your wall, I realized mental illness, it's because either people don't have the mental strength or the knowledge, and two, the chemical imbalance. It's made worse by what we eat, what we listen to, what we see. There are people who are affected, and there are loved ones who do not understand what these people are going through. So my pain and my frustrations with mental illness is what is driving me to speak to everyone and talk to anyone and just get out there and tell someone. Because now later, when my story was on Taifa Leo and I shared it with my friends, everyone was like, dude, now we understand. You guys used to act weird. I remember a friend of mine told me, I could tell there's something wrong with Medrick, but I couldn't tell what it is. So some of them thought it was either HIV. Some up to now don't even understand. You're telling me your brain was telling you what? I think there is purpose for everything. And what I've come to realize is, especially people who go through mental illness, when you're hit or you find yourself with anxiety disorder, you will make it to the other side. You will make it to the other side. I am living proof. And one would ask, how sure are you that you made it through, you guy? You hear me saying mother of my kids. It's a family thing, and I'm alone right now in the house, and I'm okay. In fact, the best peaceful time I have is in the house. So I see my kids' shoes, see their clothes, I see where they used to play, and I'm fine. And to me, that is proof enough that despite the darkness that I'm going through right now, I'm able to hold myself. Close friends of mine know what is happening in my life. One of them called me and was like, hey, guy, me, I'm concerned. Like, what? You're alone in the house. You can do something bad. And something bad like what? Something bad like what? I was just concerned. What I would tell anyone who's going through a mental challenge is that there is purpose, only that we don't know a purpose when we are there. Even right now, the pain I'm going through is not mental necessarily. It's a personal challenge, and it's very heavy on me, but I also believe there's a purpose for it. So anyone going through mental illness, mental challenge, what I will tell them is, you will make it. It is doable. You will be all right. The times that you see as if you're not going to make it to the next day, you will make it. Even in the worst of your times, you will make it. I am telling you, as living proof, you will make it. At times I used to drive thinking this is the last drive. The car I will just roll. Right now I'm okay. The times I used to sleep thinking I will wake up in heaven or some. I'm okay. The times I couldn't talk about death or even listen anyone not talk about death around me. I'm okay. I am here talking with that girl. So what I went through had purpose. And whoever will listen to my voice, it was not in vain. So hang in there. It is going to be well. Whatever challenge there is, financial or otherwise, as long as you have breath in you, and this breath is natural. That is what my Dr. Andia told me. It is natural. You don't practice to breathe. It is natural. As long as you have it, it's automatic. As long as you have it, you'll make it through to the other side.
Catch more African stories in the next episode of Legally Clueless. Wasn't that just so powerful? First, I do have to commend Medrick for reaching out and wanting to share his story. I have noticed that there are quite a few men reaching out to share their stories of lived experiences and how they're trying to prioritize their wellness. And I just think that's so commendable. I think that's so commendable, especially in our society where that's not part of the expectations that we have for men. So breaking out of that and choosing wellness, in my books, that is powerful. So I really connected with this story because I have anxiety. I was diagnosed with it, and the brain fog. In fact, I was telling Medrick how sometimes I feel like just shaking my head to literally like shake the fog away. The feelings of doom, where constantly just feeling in such a real manner that if I do that, I'm going to die. And the pulsating, is that the word? I don't know. But I remember once when we went to Zimbabwe, like my heart was beating so fast. It felt like I could hear my heart pounding in my head. Hey! And the weird thing is that on the outside, you look okay. So nobody can even see that anything is wrong. But in your head, it feels like you are about to collapse. So I really appreciate Medrick sharing his story and him wanting to use his experience to make others feel less alone. I appreciate that. That's powerful. And then the clarity. You've given such clarity to what having anxiety looks like. I feel like not many people understand anxiety. And I've seen this maybe also with depression, where people, the reaction is almost like you're choosing to be anxious. And they put this disorder in the same box as anxious, which is a feeling. But this is a disorder, and I just feel like there's a lot of ignorance around it. So stories like this really help. And so thank you so much, Medrick. And if you want to share your story as well, we have a new storyteller form to fill out. The link is in the show notes. Just fill it out. It doesn't matter where in the world you at. It could be somewhere we are coming to very soon, who knows? But also we have the option of recording your story virtually. So just sign up and I will get back to you. Also, make sure you buy your tickets to our first group therapy session. Very excited about it. If you want to learn more about the theme, which is losses without funerals, I suggest you listen to the loss episode. That will shed a lot more light on that. Yeah, if you want to take the first step in this healing journey, I think this will be really great. And I'm happy to be able to be doing this with my therapist and to be doing this with you. So grab your tickets. A link to where you can do that is in the show notes. And the group therapy session is on the 25th of February at 9:30 a.m. at Kanga Studio. There'll be no tickets sold at the gates, so all tickets have to be gotten in advance. We have a small number of tickets available, so the earlier you get your tickets, the better. Do remember that this podcast plays on Trace Radio here in Kenya, so you can catch us there every Wednesday and Monday at 1 p.m. and 11 p.m. and every Friday at 1 p.m. Just go to traceradio.co.ke to stream. Last but not least, as I gear up for my birthday. Is it obvious that I love my birthday? Is it? No, not yet? Okay. Last but not least, as usual, I am sending you grace. And this is not even just a cliche ending to this podcast. I truly mean it. I think a lot of us are going through and navigating tons of shit. And yeah, let's just extend grace to ourselves and to others. That's it for this episode of Legally Clueless. You can share this podcast with your friends. You can keep it for yourself. I'm not judging. Just make sure you're here next week for the next episode.